That's life. That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. But I know I'm gonna change that tune when I'm back on top in June.
Happy Earth Day to you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing we're doing this on Earth Day. I'm outside right now, and I feel that it's really appropriate. I'm actually under a tree, so it's been really, really hot here in Miami. Today, it woke up and it was like 60 in the morning, and now it's warmed up, but it's still pretty cool compared to what it's been like excruciatingly hot all week.
Yeah. And it's not even the worst yet, right? Like the summer is around the corner.
I know, and it's only April. We still have like July and August. Oh my God. Maybe I'll go, and I really want to travel again. So hopefully this quarantine ends soon and we get to move around again. I'm like
100%.
itching to travel. I've been traveling so much for the past like 6 years, and I've been pretty grounded for the past like year and a half now. And I'm like, all right, time to move again.
Do you call Miami home then?
Yeah. I'm from Miami, and first I wanted to say I didn't even get to thank you yet, but thank you for inviting me on this.
For sure.
I'm really excited to be here. So yeah. I was born and raised in Miami, grew up here, and after high school, I was like, all right, I just gotta get out of my parents' house. Like, what do I do? I have some freedom now, but like I'm still like, I don't even know what to do with this. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to college. So I went to the University of Central Florida because that was like the only thing that I felt like, all right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, I guess. I went to the University of Central Florida, was really confused. Was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what I want to study. I don't know what I want to be. I don't know who I am. Like, oh my God, my family kept me in a shelter and my whole life, and now I just want to be free. And that was like the start of it. And I didn't even realize how like encaged I was within my own like mind and body from all of the things within societal norms and pressure and my own family structure, I'd say, that kept me in that space. But I went to college and I started finding that out. Like I declared my major as undecided at the beginning, and I went through and I took this astrology course, and it started really opening up my mind to so much deeper, so many things deeper than what we just see here. And I'm like, wow, like this is like life is so deep. Like they don't talk about this on the news or in TV, anything like that. Like, and then I started going down this rabbit hole of like environmental studies and all these things, and that's kind of what brought me into the space I am now. To make a long story short.
Did you end up completing a degree? Did you get anything?
Yeah. So I did. I studied environmental science, and it was called interdisciplinary track with environmental studies. And I graduated with a bachelor's degree, and I technically minored in psychology, although I didn't finish the last course. Like I did the entire program except the last one. And it was like, I went to the University of Central Florida, and the classes, some of them were so big. It was like a massive auditorium, and it felt so inauthentic. And it was my senior year, and I was just like, I really don't want to waste like my last year on a class that felt really inauthentic. And it wasn't regarding something that I felt was important to me. So I ended up studying something else along like the philosophy terms. I think it was like an environmental philosophy or an ecofeminism class, and those classes were like really profound. So I didn't technically get the minor, but I completed most of the courses. So I'm really fascinated by psychology, how the mind works, and sociology as well. And I studied a lot of sociology. I took a lot of sociology courses in the university as well that really opened my mind up to start seeing that life is not just what's happening on the news or what we're being told. Like there's so much more that's going on, and regarding like our own preferences and how each individual's like trauma and past experiences affect the way that the collective operates as a whole is what really fascinated me the most. And I started traveling after that, and that went down a whole nother rabbit hole of self-discovery and kind of collective discovery as well, learning so much about yoga and meditation and healing.
Before you decided to basically start your ventures as a travel gypsy, you could say, like, had you experienced anything with your family, like going outside of comfort zones and doing, national parks or anything like that?
No, my family was very, I would say almost like scared of nature,
Mhm.
like very disconnected from nature. We only went to parks and like, your typical basketball court, soccer field, things like that. I always wanted to go camping. I was like, oh my gosh, like let's go here. I remember I used to sneak out of my neighbor's house and we would jump behind their fence. And behind their fence was like this sawgrass yard that would lead over into, I get chills just thinking about this because it was like the adventure for me as a kid that I was like never allowed to have, but it would lead over into this almost like foresty area where there was a railroad track. So me and my friends were like secretly exploring this railroad track, and we thought we were like the coolest thing because finally we had some sort of freedom, because my parents always wanted to watch me no matter what I did. They were like, make sure you're safe. And which, I get that, but there was a level of like, I just want to do whatever I want that I wasn't allowed to. So then when I had that opportunity to just like jump behind the fence and go explore somewhere that my parents didn't know I was, like it was adventurous. And that really kind of started my track for like adventure and travel, on those railroad tracks, quite literally. And yeah, just being in there, and there was, like I said, it was like kind of like a foresty area, so there's a lot of trees around and things that I would just explore. And I remember being like kind of scared, like is something going to come out and bite me? Like I feel like there was always this fear of nature inside of me that I had to really overcome when I started going camping and being out in nature on my own. And I didn't even realize like came from my family and just the way that I was grown up.
For sure. Yeah. Biophobia is what it's called. Literally like the fear
Yeah.
of life itself. Like not the
Yeah.
experience of it as a human being, just literally relation to a tree, a frog, any type of biological being, of course. And it's just very funky because, of course, even in my studies, like I was being exposed to like this concept of human beings literally being so disconnected from nature that it's like a term now, biophobic, like I said. So it's like crazy
Wow.
because you think, I mean, I'm intimidated a little bit by like some smaller frogs or spiders and snakes, of course, but that's like a logical fear almost because some are poisonous. And
Hmm. Hmm.
some people, I mean, are
Yeah.
deathly afraid of a fly. You're like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's harmless.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
more than a disconnect. It's just in their head.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then like what that I like to think of the depth behind, okay, like someone disconnected from nature, like they're scared to go out in nature in some way, then how much are they scared of their own inner nature, of their own natural being, their own essence? And then how disconnected they are from their own true source of energy, because we are nature, we are the plants, we are the animals, like we're all connected, we're all one. And so when we feel that like fear, it's like there's a part of us fearing ourselves. And that's what really started fascinating me. I was like, whoa, like this is even deeper than I could have imagined, like from what I was reading in my psychology books and stuff. And I had some profound experiences in nature, eating some natural substances that started to open my mind and my spirit up to recognizing that that connection is not just someone saying like, oh yeah, we're all connected, let's like be one, but it's like a very like almost tangible sensation that we feel when we're so connected with spirit. And magic mushrooms have helped open me up to perceiving that, because if it wasn't, like I would just be like, okay, yeah, like I get it, the tree's here, whatever. But on a in a in an experience like that, you really feel how everything is not only just connected with ourselves, but we're literally like all moving as one. And when one thing moves, the other moves. When one thing breathes, the other breathes. And it's like the most profound experience that it's like it's hard to explain because it's so out there. Like, but really it's in there. It's everything. And yeah, like I was in college and had that experience in a forest, and I felt like I could feel the web of mushroom underground connecting me to everything, because the web of the fungi is connected to everything underground.
Mhm.
And that entity also has a spirit, which is the spirit of everything. And so that like flowing through me gives information, love, revelations that when we come out of it, it's like, whoa, I have to process all of this. Like I just like expanded a lot, and that really started my whole more like a spiritual journey through my own self and seeing what I had to overcome, blockages wise, trauma wise, in order to feel that connection even deeper on a sober level.
Hmm. Do you remember at that point if you were feeling like kind of alone, or even, of course, like a crazy person, maybe like your friends or family weren't accepting you for the changes you have made, or, the person you were becoming, of course? 'Cause I know I can
But
basically do a T. That's kind of how my experience was too. I was exposed to mushrooms in college, and from there it was just like a whole awakening of truth, of course, but outside of that, the work that I was exposed to with meditation and just being grounded with nature itself, and having that connection. But at the same time, it was like my family and friends were like, okay, this girl is off her rocker. Like, don't know who she's becoming or
yeah,
what's happening. Is she well? Is she sane? And it's like I was just reconditioning myself to what I wanted to be, in a way.
yeah. I love that you brought that up, because that was my exact experience as well. As soon as I started having these like profound mystical experiences, people around me were like, "What are you? What's going on? Like, who are you?" And my family started to be like, "I don't know you anymore. You're changing. You're different." And I'm like, "Yeah, we need to change. Like, we need to transform. There is something collectively that we're not allowing ourselves to transcend to another level of love within our own being." And whether I didn't recognize that before, now I come to this awareness now. Before I was just saying like, yeah, we have to change. Like, things are messed up. Blah blah blah. Look at what's happening in the world. Look what's in our food. Look what's in our water. I was kind of angry about it, and at the same time, I'm having these experiences that are really opening up my mind to something much different than what I've ever perceived for my, it was like about 20, 21 years old, for the whole 20 years of my life. That it's shocking, and it's like, I want to just wake everyone up and have them see, and that ended up pushing people away.
Mhm.
So I, like at that point, we have to start distancing ourselves from energies that are no longer serving us. But I think it's also important to share our findings and our wisdom in such a way that doesn't push people away, so that when they go and like we plant a seed, and so when they go to someone else and then that seed starts to get watered, it's not like resistant. They're not resistant towards hearing the information. They're actually more welcoming. So it's important for us to tailor our approach to how we talk about these experiences, because it can be a little jarring at first. If you haven't had that mystical experience on mushrooms and you don't know what somebody's talking about, like, it's not going to make sense. It wouldn't have made sense to me 5 years ago before that experience. I've been like, yo, you're crazy, bro. Like, come on, let's go get drunk or something. And like, like it just wouldn't have, it wouldn't have made sense. So like, I have compassion and a complete understanding for, where they're at as well. And, it's all just a process of evolving.
Mhm. Was that when you had started traveling to festivals as well then? You were opening yourself up to
Um,
experiencing more of the collective of what people were doing out there, huh?
yeah. So I went to a few festivals in college, but it was really when I graduated that I moved out of Florida. Actually, right when I graduated, I went on a cross country road trip, and I went to all these different places. I was like in California, Colorado, Oregon, a lot of places that I really wanted to explore, that I felt called to go, and couldn't before, because it was either with my family or was living with my family, or was in college. And then once I had that experience, I called it Freedom Trip 2014, and I decided I wanted to move out of Florida. So I was like, I just got to get out of here. Like, my people are out west. So I packed up all my stuff in my car, and I sold all my furniture, and I just drove, and I moved in with some people that I had met, on that road trip. And then I went to Colorado, and I was there for a few months, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm really feeling California. So I left again after about 4 months of living in Denver, and I moved to California. And that was when I started going to festivals. Like, I was still kind of working a traditional job at that point, and I kind of like quit that and started traveling and doing like travel work, going to festivals, working on like farms, and then saving up, and then traveling again. And then I would go to other countries. There was one year that I went to, it was my first like really big trip. I went to Peru, Colombia, and then I flew over. I was supposed to go to Costa Rica, but that ended up switching up because I was going to go to Envision Festival. Switched that to go Mexico and then Guatemala. And that was when I was like, wow, like there's just so much more to the world. And I got to really meet, I felt like a part of this global community of travelers, people who are truth seekers wanting to see more of the planet. And there's like a full on community of these people who go to festivals, who travel the world, and who really like believe in love and unity and oneness, because they've all had these experiences that I spoke about when I was in college in the forest on mushrooms, and something similar, because we're all tapped into this similar energy, this similar collective energetic field that we all feel that we can vibrate on, and that will raise us to this level of knowing, of some sort of closer to enlightenment, because we're clear within our own energy field and feel more free. So yeah, lots of festivals also in California and Oregon, and that was when I started dancing. From that point, it allowed me to really see who I am, where I'm still holding back, and how to go walk along that path in order to removing the blocks within myself to my own freedom. Because we can look outside and be like, okay, this person is controlling me, or this government's controlling me, or all these things, but really the freedom comes from within, and how free we feel to express ourselves in every sense, whether it's with our voice, our sexuality, our dance, everything. And that's where the true freedom comes. Dance is what taught me that.
Did you feel like you had like stepped into your power again with the dancing?
Yeah, I felt like it was guiding me along the path into my power. And it wasn't like an immediate, all right, I'm here. It's a journey. And I know there's still things I'm unraveling within myself. And I'm not at all saying I'm perfect and I'm fully enlightened and completely free from all of the battles in my mind. But I understand deeper what's happening and where things have come from, why they're there, and how to release them. And through dance, it has shown me that pathway. And also, it's like this dancing spirit that comes through, that everything is a dance, life is a dance, love is a dance. And I was afraid of dance prior to me starting to dance. So that shows me, wow, I was afraid of my own self, my own true nature, my own expression, my own creative energy. And the realization of that was kind of hard. I was like, oh, I don't want to, like, my ego was like, no, I'm better than that. I'm not afraid of myself, because I was so resistant towards fear. Like, when people felt scared in my family, I felt like my whole life was like my family afraid of something, afraid of me getting hurt, afraid of this, afraid of this. So I was just like, stop being scared. And I pushed it all away, and I was like suppressing fear. And I was afraid to even really know that truth. So it was a lot of like realizations of having to see myself in deeper and deeper ways, that some were easy, and I was like, all right, I'll let that go. And some was like, yeah, I'm a little bit more resistant. And that's the shadow work, really. That's the journey of going deeper.
So, I mean, of course, the fire spinning thing, you had to have been terrified of that as well. I mean, that was stepping into a whole nother level of like, okay, we're doing this, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that really started because I mean, back in college, someone introduced one of the flow toys to me. It's called Poi, and I was like, wow, this is really hard. I feel disconnected. I was used to being really good at sports, and my ego was like, oh yeah, like I'm coordinated, I'm good. And then it was kind of like an ego check of like, hey, look at all of this that you are seemingly very uncoordinated in, and it challenged me. And I was like, all right, I want to learn this. So I practiced a bit, and then I ended up moving away. I graduated college, I moved, and then I went back out to California, and then that was when I started going to festivals and started seeing those flow toys again. And I was like, wow, this is cool. Like, people are doing this. And I went to Burning Man for the first time, and that was a whole journey. And I started seeing fire spinners there. And when I saw those fire spinners deep in the flow state, collectively together, connecting with themselves, connecting with the element of fire, connecting with the flow, because it's a flow art. So they have like the water element present as well, connecting with the earth. They're like a lot of times barefoot and just very connected, and like the air, the atmosphere around, plus the energy of the music. It was like I was captivated, and I was deep into their flow state, and it was like feeling like it was transforming me on like an energetic level, just watching and being present with what they were channeling. And so at that point, like, I got goosebumps all over. I was like, this is something I have to do. Like, I learned that poi thing a while ago. Like, I'm going to practice. And next year, I'm going to be performing and dancing, fire dancing with these guys here, like, at Burning Man next year. And I did. I literally went traveling. That was the year that I went traveling to Peru, Colombia, Mexico, Guatemala. And I practiced and practiced. And I just like would walk around different countries, like spinning my poi balls and like having a great time. And then finally, I actually went to a festival in Mexico, and somebody was spinning fire, and I was like, "Hey, can I try that?" And I was by myself, and along with this random dude who didn't even speak English. And I spun fire for the first time, and I was like, "Wow, this is amazing! Like, this is what I want to do." I actually burnt my hair a little bit, and I smelled it. I was like, "Great, sweet." I'm not. I'm excited. Like, it wasn't scary. What was scary was stepping into the fire of being seen, and it showed me that I was scared of really being seen, of really being of really expressing myself. And the fire helped me burn away that fear as I was being called upon to step into myself as a performer, as an artist, and someone who's very radically self-expressive, as one of the Burning Man principles are.
Cool.
So that year, when I was in Guatemala, I met a group of people who were fire dancing, and we just started performing. And I that really went down another rabbit hole of performing in different festivals years later, and to the point where that's what I'm doing now professionally as well.
So like you're making a livable wage and income, of course, by doing what you love, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I do many things. That's one of a few things that I am working on, along with like performing, teaching, and then there's a couple other stuff that I do as well for income. So it's not just fire dancing, although that is definitely possible. And I recognize that I have been moving through various injuries and imbalances within myself. Actually, before I even started dancing, I experienced a knee injury that felt like it really took my body out of balance in a lot of ways, and then recognizing the emotional components that were tied into that. So it's been a journey of like rediscovering my body. So dance has been that way. So it's not only like the dance for me is not just, all right, here I'm performing, like look at what I can do, but it's like, how can I give you something so that you start to recognize that you can tap into yourself in a deeper way as well, and find parts of you that have been stored away, that have been locked away, that you've been afraid of, and be able to transcend those fears as well. And if fire is something that can help you, then I can teach you fire dance. Or if it's just like a free form ecstatic dance has changed my life as well. That's another avenue. So really, it's movement medicine.
I've never heard that term, but that is super refreshing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that like,
so stuck. I mean, just comfortable with standing up, walking around. It's just doing the day-to-day basic stuff, right? But it's once you really start moving your body, and yeah, it does. It is truly medicine for me. And I get in, interesting grooves. It's usually
yeah,
after the caffeine hits, and then it's like, right, showtime, dance around the house. But it is a whole movement thing that I feel more energized, and space and energy is moved within my body, and I feel that like just to kind of again evolve and transform in a good way, really good way.
yeah, and activating certain parts of our being that may be a little bit more dormant or inactive. And not only through dance, but also I've recognized that through my own like touch, self massage. Like, wow, like what's this like stored in my neck? How can I work with the energy, and also use plant medicines to move past that? Because sometimes like it may not be just a conscious thing that we get to sit down or dance it out, and maybe something like deeper rooted in our unconscious that we're just completely unaware of. And that's when these things like plant medicines help us to look deeper within, because you can sit in meditation or dance for hours, and I tried to do that. I thought only dance was going to save me, and it took a lot more searching within. And there's things like ayahuasca and various plant medicines that I've also gone deep into as well, that have helped me see parts of myself and where I'm resistant, where I'm still holding on, and how to just start to really let that go. Because if it's something that's deep rooted from childhood or even past lives, it's hard to just be like, okay, I'm good. I'll let that go. I'm aware of it. Boom. It may be something like that's stored in the cells of our being that we have to purge out. And that's why like these plant medicines like ayahuasca, you go through a purge. And it's not only what I realized, it's not just like, okay, we're purging whatever's in the stomach from the past couple of days. It's like you're purging energy. And the last one, I realized that I was really purging up like balls of energy, like in the form of like a vomit, but that it was like clearing me and healing me. And through the experience, it's like, wow, this is the worst thing ever. Why am I here? What am I doing? And then afterwards, you're like, okay, yeah, that's a reality check, and I really have to, work on this and dive into that. And whether or not it's like one experience and you're great, or it's something you have to continuously go through and work on, everyone's different, and no one is saying judging in any way based off of how quickly or slowly you move past things that block. Yeah.
I think a lot of it, with what you were saying earlier, with surrounding yourself with the right people, like I find it a little challenging with the area that I live in, because it's just such a very diverse kind of like landing spot for people. Like you're either from here or you're not, or you've retired, of course, and you moved from basically up north. And I'm sure you experience it. You have a different type of culture in Miami, but here in Naples, Florida specifically, like it is mostly older generation people. So, you have to, like, my biggest fear most of the time is like the fear of course of what they're thinking about how radically different I look, what I'm wearing, how I speak, all of it. And because it's a very, there's lots of rich folks here, so they, like, it's frowned upon, I guess, to them to not go out and looking professional in public, which I've of course learned to let go of. Like, I'm very comfortable in my skin, like I want to express myself this way. This is who I am comfortable with being. And when you go to space, I guess, like California, like you experience like those are my people type thing. It's just, of course, an always interesting playground, I guess you could call it, for me to see like who is with the flow, who isn't. Inevitably attracts people that are with it, but it's still kind of social distancing from it. Of course, now you're like, you people are just, you're full of fear, and it's so sad. And I kind of notice like it's most of the people, like, I'm happy they're practicing, the glove wearing mask stuff, but you can see it in their eyes. Like, people are terrified still.
Yeah.
Of not even just against other people, and even just, it's so interesting, I think, now to kind of see who is expressing the truth still, behind all this crazy fear that's been, essentially just dumped on us on a very large global scale. And I know the first week I was specifically like finding online resources to do like global meditations to tune into that frequency, because I knew I could not stay on that level of fear, guilt, like, just inevitably, like pain and suffering. And it's like, wait, what? No, I need these tricks and tools. All, like, it's all love. Transform this love.
Yeah, and that's when we really get to put it all into practice. It's like all of the work we've been doing, and now it's like, all right, I get to share and hopefully illuminate, shed some light on these dark areas, these dark forces, these dark energies, and bring it more into balance, because it feels like it's definitely been off balance. And thus, like everything, we can see nature has been off balance. We've been destroying the planet. There's been an off balance of the masculine and feminine energy on the planet. That all is all connected. And I think that that is very deeply rooted within the level of fear as well, and how we relate to life in general. And that even goes back to the whole fear of nature, because I feel like now people are slowly recognizing that with all this time and space, that there is more to life, and we don't have to live in fear. I think, like, that's so, I feel like it's like pushed upon us so much that people are starting to wake up and be like, okay, maybe like I don't have to succumb to this level. and they start to go outside, reconnect with their family, reconnect with nature. I see so many people playing outside, so many kids playing outside, so many adults here with their family. I live in a community, kind of like a gated community, and it's really nice to see people just like getting back to just our innocence, our true selves, without having to like, oh, like work, 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 make money, and then just repeat, work, watch, shop, repeat, that whole cycle. We break free from that. We realize that we are so much more than just that cycle that is perpetually thrown upon us by society, mainstream media, and any other news source.
Basically, on like a, I guess, global scale, you could say it's like, all right, well, how has this affected me? Am I going to allow it to throw me on that rabbit hole of fear, or am I going to keep rising in the love and truth that I know? And that's what I've
Hmm.
got. Like I know I couldn't basically fall to that tier again. And of course, there's moments where I find myself again. I'm like, wait, I'm being exposed. There's fear. There's mass. There's everything. It's like, no, like rise up again,
Yeah.
breathe, and it works because I know I'm tapping into that true essence of just self. Again, being in nature, like that's when I do feel those overcoming moments of, oh, I'm anxious. It's like, first of all, why? Second of all, just go step outside and breathe in that flow of energy. So
Yeah.
it's always here.
Yeah.
It's so abundant.
Yeah. Exactly. Like just sitting here under the street, I just feel more relaxed than being inside, especially if like the news was playing in my house or something like that with a family member. Like you can start to just feel the energy of everything if you really slow down and tap in, and you can start to feel like what it is that you want to vibrate on. Do you want to vibrate in that frequency? How does it feel in your body when you listen to the news and you surround yourself around people who are in that vibration? Or you can step outside, connect with nature, connect with other people who are feeling the energy of a love vibration. How does that feel in your body? Does that feel like something you want to be around? Do you have resistance towards that? What's the resistance? And then from there, we can start to, people from that level of awareness can start to differentiate and discern within themselves what they want to surround themselves by. And then it's just a matter of time before more and more people feel like, I just want to feel good. I don't want this anymore. Like, I'm done. And then that's when the revolution really begins. And it's more of just like the internal, like saying yes to love and yes to truth and yes to myself rather than somebody else's control. And a good metaphor that I think is really interesting. It's like we're in this like period of great awakening. And the way somebody described it on the video I was watching was that like we're in like the third dimension or like the third density, which is also correlated with the third chakra, the solar plexus, and that being out of balance is like a if it's blocked, it's like we're in control. We're trying to fight. They're overpowering other people, overpowering nature. And when we release that control, the energy can then move into the heart, which is love, the love vibration. And that's something that and I think many other people can physically feel in their bodies as well when we're caved in this way, afraid to speak our truth, kind of like controlling what we want to say rather than just allowing. Like we can actually like feel this sense of like expansion and breath within that starts to open up. And personally, it's something that one of the deepest things that I have been experiencing on a physical level of just coming from a family where my father was extremely controlling, very, very overprotective, very dominating in like the masculine sense, didn't only believed in tough love, was never like soft and gentle with me. I was not soft and gentle within myself, and I became controlling and overpowering and more egotistical, and that's an imbalance. Like I recognize that, I had to really look at that relationship with the masculine and start to soften deeper and come more into balance within my masculine and feminine. And yeah, and I can also feel that that's like where the solar plexus, how the solar plexus gets blocked, and that energy can start to flow into the heart space and we come more into the fourth density, which is what I was saying, the heart chakra. And like collectively, that's what's happening on the planet. So it's interesting when we can look at our own personal lives, see how that is manifested, and then see how that's manifested globally as well.
Yeah, we live on such a magical spaceship.
Yeah, really. It's so like deep and intricate. We're taught that it's just so insignificant.
Uh-huh.
Like it's wild, like the things that we get to experience when we step outside of the box and then recognize that there was never really a box to begin with. It was just an idea.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, it's so freeing, of course, but when for me, it's just like a whole new me has been born. Like I can, of course, remember who I was before, but I can now like look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, holy shit, you've really transformed. You have changed into just so much more than again what I've been taught or even just surrounded by with family members and friends. It's like I took that next step to choose. Now I know there's more out there, and of course, was seeking the truth through books and articles and documentaries, and of course, I changed my diet. And then I started traveling and experiencing, some psychedelics, all of the stories we kind of shared, and it's still, you can try the mushrooms, you can smoke weed, you can always feel those moments of being, but it's truly just embodying that space all the time. Is that's when you're like I don't want to say professional, but like you you're like with it. You're really kind of flowing and working with
Yeah,
the energy. We're like alchemists and transforming and transmuting,
yeah,
shifting and sorting and all of it. And it's so much more than powerful. It's our divine right, really, to be able to manifest and experience this world. So
right. Yeah, it's our
it's
birthright to experience that, and
totally the beginning, of course, for everyone. Again, the great awakening to like, whoa, we're more than just little human doings around here. Like, superpowers.
yes, yeah. I like the way you said that. Like it is like we're taught that we're human doings when we're human beings. We're a human being having a temporary having a temporary human experience as a spiritual being, and coming to that realization is like the realization of, oh yeah, I am so much more than just this physical body. And that goes back with the whole connection on the mushrooms, feeling the energy of everything. I've actually had an experience like recently where I could feel like all of this like tension. There's still like a bit of this like holding that I feel in my body that's releasing. And I started to release it in a meditation with a little bit of some cannabis, and I started to feel like my energy opening up and everything just like coming out, and I started just becoming energy. Like it was literally like it was scary because it's like facing the fear of death, because when we die we do return back to that source of energy. Like our spirit leaves, obviously the body dies and decays, but the spirit goes somewhere. And when we have these like mystical experiences where we're kind of like coming out of that, we have to face that fear of death, which actually allows us to live deeper in this temporary human experience. And so I felt and I saw everything just become energy. And this like immense light came over me. And I will admit, like it was definitely, there was a level of fear that was still held within. And I was like, whoa, 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 like, this is different. I don't know. And I felt myself try to like block it off. But when we really allow that, and I know from other past experiences, mystical experiences, like it's like a DMT like experience what I'm describing, even though somehow I wasn't on that, but it started to just come up, and that's unconditional love, because that energy that flows through everything, that spirit is unconditional love. That's who we are. And sometimes like if that has been so suppressed from our being, whether it's collectively or within our own family structure, when we feel that, it can be very terrifying. And that can be why a lot of people are afraid of psychedelics, afraid of going to that space, because it's so foreign already within them, and they know that there's like already a level of resistance that they're afraid to see. And it takes a lot of courage and bravery to be like, all right, I'm going to face whatever demon that is, and I'm just going to go for it. And That's when we raise our vibration.
For sure. It's again, I mean, first step is having the open heart to receive all this love. And I find I was very basically fearful of love too, because you think it's painful, it's damaging, it's like, no, that's all the wrong types of love we've experienced and created, within for lack of understanding, disconnect to what it even is as a whole. It's more than a chemical release in your brain. Like it's again like a real source of energy. And I'm no scientist, know the truth behind the frequency of it and all the science that has come out, and basically giving it more credibility as to the force field of it all. Like it's not made up. I guess it's a real thing that people are measuring and are learning to understand more as we evolve as humans, of course. And it's just the power of love has always been something discussed, through the revelations of other leaders and basically change makers, I call them, because they were challenging like the status quo to, you know, see more truth and not power of
Yeah.
course controlling the masses or even a smaller group of people, but what the force of love and the power of love can do to any situation. Like can open the space for more giving, of course, and just joy and pure bliss. Like it's a real feeling.
Yeah.
And I hope
Yeah.
like I have
It's,
created that space for myself again, and I think you felt it as well. But that's what I want to bring to the world, and and that's what I'm here to do, of course. And it's just wonderful.
ah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. It's refreshing to speak with you and other people on this wavelength and be reminded, especially during these times when a lot of us are alone or in quarantine, maybe with family members who don't resonate yet, and to just have a podcast like this like to listen to and tune into is great. So I'm really happy that you're doing this and spreading this message and this wisdom and love with the world.
Thank you, thank you. And I'm very thankful again for people to step in their own truth and power, to not be afraid to share that, because I mean, of course, I get at first, you're like, wait, am I experiencing something crazy? Am I making it all up? And then you start basically practicing with the manifestation and law of attraction more, and you're like, oh, this shit's real. Like I am again, like the alchemist, just playing with this energy all around us. And
Yeah,
I always call like ourselves the conscious choice makers, because we truly are that. We can choose to tap into
yeah,
that basically, the fear train, if you want to call it that, or you can ride the bliss train of like literally flowing through what I call heaven on earth. And it's always been here for us. We just need to protect it more and speak for it, of course. And what a better day to do this on, of course, on Earth Day, and to remember or remind people to share that truth as well. We need to protect ourselves and Mother Nature, because we wouldn't be here without it.
exactly. Exactly. That's definitely the most important thing. And that's really what I learned when I was studying environmental science was like, we are not doing that. And that made me really sad. And especially having that experience on mushrooms in the forest and really feeling like all of the energy of Mother Nature being like hurt and destroyed, because we can tap in so deeply that we can feel the energy of everything. And then knowing what I knew from studying environmental sociology and ecofeminism, how we've basically had a patriarchal domination over nature, over the feminine, over the mother, that is keeping us out of balance. And that again goes back to that connection within ourselves, that inner balance within our own masculine, feminine energy, within our own awakening into our heart center, and recognizing that all these things are connected. Like if I just went and studied environmental sociology and never understood yoga or meditation or healing, anything like that, it wouldn't have really made sense. I would have been like, okay, cool, let's just fight, fight for the, but it's like fight for the environment, but it's really it's about love, it's about connection and recognizing that oneness.
Yeah, for sure. We that's, I mean, for me, the environmental studies, like it was, I can see the patriarchal side. It's like everything's been destroyed. We're gonna, like, there's no fixing it. There's no solutions. But I was kind of handed the same tools of healing the earth, if you will. So it was a lot of it at first, the form of activism. But then it was stepping into this whole another side of like eco psychology. Like, how did I feel connected and better? Once I stepped into that space of not trying to fit, but appreciating for what status or whatever the quality of the water was at that moment, and kind of healing through that, accepting, of course, I'm not the only one. Like, it's not, um quality of water is not something I have control over, of course. Like, it's way more of basically corporate control that is saying, oh, it's okay to dump pollutants into this waterway because whatever, we're not basically held responsible for it. We're not the stakeholders or whatever. It's, you realize, okay, I can fight for hours with a poster board that I handcrafted, kind of sharing what I'm trying to fight for, clean water. And again, you realize, like, stepping back and not fighting against that, because you end up kind of looking like a lunatic. Like, what are you fighting for? It's, how about we
Yeah,
stop consuming collectively as much sugar as we are? Because
yeah,
like looking deeper again to the root levels of like where these things are coming up and why it is a problem in the first place. And yeah, I guess it was for sure becoming more mindful and meditating, of course, some yoga, just reconnecting me to like a more grounded space of like, okay, you can react, of course, and it's important to, I guess, be angry, like be aware of the problem, but let's look for more solutionized, like practical solutions, I call them, because standing on a bridge for 30 days straight is not necessarily going to change the water quality,
yeah,
And I respect anyone who has
yeah,
that. Good on you, basically.
yep,
There's more we can do.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's when I really believe strongly that the internal revolution is the way to go, because until somebody has an experience like we've had, they're not really gonna get it. Like they might, all right, you might postpone someone from polluting the water, someone from tearing down this tree momentarily, but that's not getting to the root of it. That's just pulling up the, it's just like chopping off the weed at the top and not actually taking it out. Taking it out would be them having an experience of recognizing their own connectedness to nature, and thus wanting to protect themselves, the nature as themselves, and feeling like, wow, what am I doing? Why would I go to hurt essentially myself? And that's that's going to be the biggest thing. And I mean, all of that comes along with the experiences that we go through doing shadow work, doing yoga, meditation, connecting with nature. And it's like I said, you have to have an experience to really know. Other than that, you're going to stay resistant and stay listening to your ego telling you, oh, well, there's more money to do this and it's cheaper to pollute and just throw the poisons over here into the water, or to tear down this forest, and it's just cheaper. So people just want to do what's in their best interest, as opposed to recognizing that, again, it's all connected.
Yeah, I mean, we're totally,
What's best for the greater good.
of course, like you said before, with the whole basically hiatus of more transportation, all the pollutants that come from that. I think the earth has been able to breathe a little bit more in this past like 30-day little venture.
Yeah.
Um, but it does kind of not scare me to, I hate saying words like that, but it is a little intimidating to think like how, like, because I know I'm going to want to travel more, but like what is to come with basically the lift of the quarantine. Everyone's going to want to, I think, do more again. So I hope that connection has been found during these times to, be mindful
Yeah.
of how much you're using, producing waste and eating out and all of all of that. But, just stay mindful of like you can choose to bring your own to-go box, your to-go bag, your bamboo utensils, and set that example again to slowly change the world. And it's inevitable
Yeah.
that it'll happen. It just takes time because, one thing I reflect on often is how many years, it did take for us to get to where we're at. It's definitely not going to be fixed overnight. So it's just day to day, actions that we can do locally, independently as a person, of course, gathering more community and trying to sustain ourselves that way. So it's not easy. I'm not saying I'm perfect and do it every day either, but
Yeah.
it's a real different type of commitment if you truly do care about the future of other generations experiencing what we've been offered and blessed to share. So
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And there's so many little small things that we can do, like you said, bring your bamboo utensils, not using plastic water bottles, repurposing materials. You can even make art out of trash, getting creative. There's so many things, just conserving water, planting more trees, so many things. Just repurposing our energy and where we place our attention. Just keep diving along your journey. Whoever's listening, there's deeper and deeper layers to go. Don't ever allow yourself to be stuck. Let go, let flow. Always a reminder for myself as well. And stay present with your connection to nature and source. And just always, and this is again a message for myself, trust that we're being guided when we follow our hearts and when we really listen to that internal guidance and love within. We don't have to surrender to the fear. We can choose to rise above it and choose love.
awesome. Thank you so much, darling.
Thank you. Thank
We'll
you for
stay in
having
touch.
me. So grateful. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
You as well. Take care.
Take care. All right. Bye.